43, 42, 41. And the Eagles will snap it again. 33 seconds to go. And Pickett will take the football and take the knee. And that's going to round it up. We will count down these seconds for you.
That'll do it, boys
They
and
are
girls.
jamming the field. 18, 17, 16, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's over. The Philadelphia Eagles have won Super Bowl 59. They have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs 40-22. It's their second Super Bowl win in 7 years. What a game. What a season. What a team. The greatest Eagles team in modern history. Eagles fans.
Well, I have to say we were very fortunate. Here we are back with Talking with Cuz podcast that we haven't done in about a year with my cousin Vince Sparrow back in New Jersey. I'm here in California, and I figured we'd do this again right after the Super Bowl, win or lose. But luckily, after 60 years ago, the Philadelphia Phillies didn't make it to the World Series, and us being blessed 50 years ago, being at the Flyers, and now at this great age, that we're able to see the Eagles actually win their second one. So welcome back, my cuz. I appreciate it. It's good to be back. And we're going to have some fun. We're going to actually be on a regular schedule for maybe once a week talking anything sports, probably not politics, but, everyday life, and let everybody know that this is my cousin, actually my brother from another mother, that we go back from the early 60s, and people who are just getting to know who we are. We came from a great family that was originally in South Philadelphia with our grandparents. And then you eventually, moved up to Northeast Philadelphia. But we have a classic picture when we were all together at our grandmother's house in South Philadelphia with
three blocks from the stadium complex.
Yes. And with your sister above you, your second, and I'm there really at attention, our cousin Diane giving our grandmother some attitude. But it's great that when I was back there in September, we actually were taking a little bit of a tour around the old neighborhood, and we went up Juniper Street and realized how small it really was, and wonderful, wonderful memories from back day. But it was always around sports. We loved sports, starting with the Philadelphia Phillies because, baseball was really our first love at a certain building that had the team. I know.
What a ball. Now that picture is 70 because center field's been moved in.
So who's going to really know besides us, right? That it was 447. They brought it in, but it was iconic.
I just saw something posted yesterday that it was from the 60s, and that the dimensions were being remeasured. Like the 334 sign, it really should have been 331 and 11 inches.
Yeah, did you see that too? Yes, that they actually measured it. Yes.
That was really cool. 447, like the 420 should have been 418. So I don't think they ever changed the signs though, but they remeasured.
Remember, it was actually an article by Stan Hochman in the 60s that they actually got a tape measure that cost them almost
that was it. That was it.
Back then. Yes. So we were at a very young age. I was 10, you were about 8.5. And that 64 season that we actually went to games. That was the iconic yearbook. And you were really with me through a podcast with a certain person that had the 64 Phillies that we actually was a good one. We got a lot of reviews from that about that demise from that. It was kind of cool. And anybody who went to see it, we actually have it up on my YouTube page. It's down there. Vince was there and is actually there with the 1974 Flyers with our dear friend Sam Carchuti. He actually was able to get Lou Nolan, the PA announcer there, and a friend of his who's doing a feature with the Flyers. And it was a great time there. So anybody wants to see that was online. But from that, we have That's actually the 66 yearbook, which shows Connie Mack Stadium really great. But then actually when we were growing up, we started our driving and we started driving around the neighborhoods. And with the spectrum being, we got into hockey, and then we saw the progress of a certain stadium being built. And anybody out there is wondering, what the heck is that? Well, that's that stadium about 69 or 70 being built and wasn't open until 71. And that's the full stadium complex where I was half of our childhood was in 3 of those buildings, but the middle building was mostly, the one that we had our season tickets for the Flyers, and such amazing times.
Yeah, that's funny because I'm thinking of the spectrum. Neither one of us really ever went to Sixers games.
A few.
I mean, in the 60s, go ahead, Convention Hall. That's
yes.
where we went.
With our dear friend Uncle Alan, we used to have tickets.
I think I went to 2 games at the Spectrum.
Well, yeah, but and weren't they doubleheaders? It was like Seattle against the Knicks and the Sixers against somebody, and that's when we saw the corn and the horn guy, at the Spectrum with us.
Other than when we worked in 1985 at the Spectrum, the only other game I ever saw, a Sixer game, I think it was 72. Jax Ramsey was the coach.
Coach Ramsey. But having hockey being, we used to say it was our God. We loved it so much. We had our season tickets, and we were fortunate enough to be at the Spectrum when they won the Cup, May 19th, 1974, and we'll probably relive. I don't know if we're going to do another one this May for their 50th for the 75 one, but we'll talk about that down the road. But hockey in Philadelphia got really very excited, and everybody wanted to be a hockey player. Everybody had their sticks and nets throughout and then here we are. We're like in our late teens, early 20s, thinking that we could do this, and here we are.
Yeah, we could play hockey for $25. Now it costs you $4,000 to get outfitted.
Yeah, and I realized you were a very good player, and you ended up being a very good goalie. I realized I really sucked, so I ended up becoming a referee. So a friend of mine had a camera one day, actually in a pouring rain. It was an outdoor, almost rink, but it was a fantastic experience. That was actually, getting paid $11 a game. We would do 4 games a Saturday, 4 games a Sunday. So hockey really was a main thing for us, and loving sports in the Philadelphia area. So we're just 2 guys, cousins, are just talking cousins. Everybody's got a podcast. Well, this is our podcast. And me as a photographer, it was it game 7 of the 75 semifinal?
Yes.
I took this picture.
Dornhofer scoring from the right wing 12 seconds in. And that's after the Flyers went from leading the series 3 games to 0, and the Islanders won 3 straight. So the 7th game came back to the Spectrum, and that's the first goal. I think the Flyers won 4-1, something like that.
Yeah, and that was what, Chico Resch?
Yeah, I think it was Chico.
Yeah, Chico Resch. So yeah, where our sports was in our life, and we really enjoyed it. But now, we're at a certain time now in our life, and actually be able to, enjoy that the Philadelphia teams are really doing great. And it's amazing that seeing the one picture that it's been 20 some years that Jeremiah Trotter was with the team, and now his son was on the team, is actually a Super Bowl team.
Yeah, Super Bowl champion. Look at
that. When I saw that that's incredible. That it's been that long already, but knowing him with that, that wood chop, right? You'd have to like chop a wood.
The axe.
The axe. So yeah. So, there's many ways to go, especially that was our highlight of our life. I wish I still had the videotape of my taking the 8mm film of that day of them winning the cup. But it's, reflective about life and enjoying sports. But it's amazing how I think they just have this one that it sounded like the Link down in New Orleans.
Somebody said that the ticket sales, Philadelphia area fans bought 15% of the available tickets. Kansas City bought 8% of available tickets.
Yeah, it seemed like that was a Philadelphia crowd there all the way down to New Orleans, and it's a shame that they will lose their offensive coordinator who's going to be playing, with the Saints. But hey, when you get an opportunity to be a head coach, why not? So we both have our Eagles sweatshirts on. We'll probably the last time we'll wear this until next season, and just celebrating that. So, Cuz, what do you want to, angle do you want to talk about? Because we could go many different angles, our lives, I have one here. I figured, do I still have it up here or not? Let me just see. That you were the best man in my wedding. I don't know if I have that picture or not. I don't know. Maybe if we really should show it.
I don't know if you want to put that, because once again, everybody's going to see that I'm way more handsome than you.
Handsome, yes. Oh, well.
I got drunk. Yep. I drank that Galliano. Never had that before, down the basement between the ceremony and the reception. Ooh.
I know. But that was interesting. But there's a lot of things about the city of Philadelphia that people just take for granted. And there's a certain bridge and certain highway that we realized wasn't even completed back in our day.
Oh, 95.
And it's interesting that they ended up having the Eagles coming out of the NovaCare set going over that bridge to go to the airport. So this is 6970, that going up. And so we're old enough to remember half of the highway system wasn't even built. Some of all the other stuff that hasn't been built. So it's a very unique perspective of where we're at. But when I was back in Florida, I was great that they had a place like this in Florida. I wish we had this out here in California, with the food.
Is that pork roll cooked? I don't know.
Yeah, and then there's the whole Philadelphia food group.
There it is.
There it is. So we ended up talking about Met Stadium and all the events that were there. That was actually an Eagles game, probably in the 80s, because they do have the big Tron there. But this was the mega complex there with the 3 complexes that are all gone now. And our biggest day was July 18th, 1985, with that. And hopefully maybe it's going to be 40 years in July that we'll be able to do some kind of a retrospect on that. But I'll need a lot of help with that. But then
let's get Bob Geldof.
Wouldn't that be something? Phil Collins, something, whatever, But I wasn't there. But you said you were here with your dad with this event.
Phillies doubleheader against Montreal.
People who don't know who that was.
That's the great Wallenda, Carl Wallenda. And I think he did it twice in the back-to-back years. He went from foul pole to foul pole. And I think this game, we were in the right field seats, which would be off to the right. And there is no safety net. So if he had a bad breeze, that could have been a pretty ugly sight. But, yep, Carl Wallenda. And he still couldn't get a sellout for that game.
It could have been a problem, but thank God he didn't. He did eventually pass by, not making it somewhere.
Puerto Rico.
Yeah, can you imagine if something happened like that in Philly, though? It would have been that crazy, So it's so yeah. In a couple of years, about 7-8 years ago, we ended up going to Florida to see the Philly spring training. That's one of the few pictures we actually have of ourselves recently. But then, if I could just pull the one up, that 20-some years ago, 25 years ago, way ahead of its time, we were a part of the thing called SportsMax.
That's Eugene Levy on the right.
Yes. And actually, they were in Voorhees, New Jersey. There was an office space, and it was actually computers. And we would actually they would pay us. What we pay? We would get about $18 a session. And we would talk about sports, not knowing if anybody's watching anywhere. Well, we did talk for almost 2 hours, didn't we? And here we
Yeah,
are.
we talked about the Daytona 500, which is next this Sunday. So remember that we talked about restrictor plates.
I never knew what a restrictor plate was in my life. And it's ironic that if we had this technology 25 years ago, we would be our own stars. But hey, I'm not complaining. It's not bad. And then really my friend Anthony Santinelli was supposed to be a part of it. And somehow he couldn't make it. He said, "Nah, you could go do it." You know, he was doing it. Then I called you. You thought about what?
Vineland? No, Voorhees. Remember when we did the radio thing in Vineland?
Oh, God, yes. Oh, my God.
Around the same time.
So now, you know, with this technology, with this being on YouTube and our Facebook page, hey, maybe we could get a little following. Everybody's doing it nowadays. And maybe we could get a little bit of an audience out there. So, you know, down the road, we could be talking about certain things and we can maybe bring somebody else on here. Maybe we could get Sam back in here and talk about stuff. But I just do want to thank you when I came back in September for really helping out, you know, going to see Russell and having that whole, you know, interview, because I don't know about you, Vin, but I would kind of hit it. I was scared to death because here's a prominent man I'm going to go meet for the first time, and I didn't want to really screw up. But I think all in all went very, very well. I'm glad he was able to be very hospitable. We were signing the books, and a couple of the podcasts that we have done, the last one I did with him before the holidays with Ray Dinger was very, very great. So I want to just give kudos to you for thanking you for helping me all get through that time. I think it was kind of cool with you too, just being there, you know, just seeing all his memorabilia and everything. So
that was fun. That was, you know, I knew a lot about Russell Peltz, and again, I went to the Blue Horizon on Broad Street back in the '90s in its heyday when they had USA Network. So, but the guy, I remember him when he was a kid. He was a teenager promoting fights, and he's in his 70s now, almost 80. Still he's retired kind of, but boy, he's had his fingerprint for 50, 60 years.
And I'm going to show this, and hopefully the next one we do with him, I mentioned that when you stayed in a car, but we went over to the Blue Horizon, and he was lamenting. I don't think you ever saw this video, but I'm just going to show it. Shaking your head.
It's sad. They should have never let, the city had no right to let this happen. This should have been, it still could have been used. They just would have had to fix it up. It should have been preserved as a historical site.
1314 North Broad. Well, maybe they should have a petition to have something out here, or even.
Yeah, so this was the entrance to the Orchid Ballroom. It sat about 300, but there was a Rathskeller nightclub with the neon lights below ground. We really could have made this into a hell of a place.
What kind of money did they need to maybe turn this over? Nobody had the money to maybe, because they put the money into the Met. Why couldn't they put it in here?
The money, they got $2 million at one point, and they didn't really do anything with the building. They fixed up their offices. I don't know what happened to the building, to the money. That was after I'd left.
Yeah.
But you could have renovated this place for about 3 or 4 million, max.
Right.
Because we had a couple surveys done while we were still here.
How long has it been since you've been inside the place?
I came back for 3 shows in 2009. So that would have been the last time I was in here. I left in 01, came back in 04 for 1 show and 3 shows in 09. And then what's it, 15 years? 15 years since I've been inside.
Wow.
And they were closed down like a year later. The city shut them down. Payment of taxes, code violations, everything.
The normal stuff. Well, it is sad. Hopefully someday that they might be able to put a little plaque out here or something, you know, in the commemoration of what the history was for this building. So, and
hey, when you see Dusty, tell him I said kiss my ass. I never liked that.
Well, I know you were in a car. I don't know if you ever saw that, but I know I wish I
I saw
was
that. Yeah.
at the Blue Horizon. I know it's an amazing and iconic location. I've been to just about every location in Philadelphia or any sporting events, but I did not go there.
Nothing. There it is. Nothing compares to it. You have 3,000 seats, and the upper deck. You're no more. Look at those sides. You're no more than 10 feet from the ring. You walk into the venue, and all I remember is you could buy two things there: Schlitz beer and a hot sausage. That's it. And you would bet. I went with three guys, and you'd bet. Most of the fights were 3-round fights. You bet $1 who would win the round. But it's the best venue to watch a boxing match in the world.
And finally, when we got his book and understood how he ended up getting the title for the book, is that we understood how he ended up paying the fighters. And some of the fighters, I'm going to plug. If you see this, Russell, I'm plugging your book. Hopefully, you're over 2,000 now after the holiday. But it says $30 and a cut eye. It shows you what boxing was really like on the lower level, that they were maybe making $50 for a 4-rounder. And then after expenses, this and that, and taxes, they got only $30 and a cut eye.
It's kind of like when you saw Rocky, the first movie, Spider Rico against, okay, winner share, you get $65, 15 for this, 10 for the this and that. You're cut $39. I think Spider Rico got $17.
Yeah. So, that's the one sport I really I only saw it once in Atlantic City. I never saw it at the Spectrum or the Blue Horizon where you did, where I ended up seeing every other sport. That I saw somewhere that there was a program for the Wings lacrosse game that, that we went to see him quite a few times, but we ended up actually seeing them the day after the Stanley Cup. Well, that night,
the
Cup.
The night.
The night of, yes. So, but I have to say one more time, I know it's 50 years now, but we were actually in the building. We did not hear this live, but this was really, we were very, very fortunate to actually be at a championship.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Flyers are going to win the Stanley Cup! The Flyers win the Stanley Cup! The Flyers win the Stanley Cup!
The Flyers have won the Stanley Cup. The words rang out like a cry of joy to a city starving for a champion. For Flyers owner Ed Snyder, his dream of bringing championship hockey to Philadelphia came true.
Well, we really never really realized until as we got older how fortunate we were, because they only won it one other time on the road, but we were there 50 years ago, and we commemorated that with a really great podcast last May. And
look how many fans, Flyer fans, weren't even born when the Flyers were used. And I feel like an idiot because I remember in the late 80s, I would talk to some Ranger fans, and I'd say to them, "Hey, when was the last year?" No, correct me. When was the last decade you guys won a cup? And that was in the 40s. So they won their cup in 94, and look at us now, 50 years later, and God, there ain't no cup on the horizon. So I should have kept my mouth shut.
Well, and actually, to me, they're kind of almost irrelevant because once they took the Kate statue down, I really didn't care one way or the other. And I actually think they got the curse, no matter, even though they have Briere and Jonesy there is helping out. But being out here on the West Coast, sports is completely different. And, you have the Kings and the Ducks, and they're kind of mediocre. And they mostly everything is Rams and LeBron. And, I talked to people the other day. It's like they all think he's the GOAT. I said, no, you ever see Wilt Chamberlain in his prime? No, he's the number one. But then that's another time for
different debate.
Yes. So So anyway, this is just I just saw online or just saw the picture that Vic Stangio is only 64. We're like 7 or 8 years older than that guy, and he looks old.
I think he's 66. I think he's
Okay,
66.
66. I'm just saying, like, how much we really sound. But anyway, we're going to try to maybe get some other people. Who knows? Maybe we could get Tom Hoffman on here, who's really was a younger kid who used to go to the games, and he's really the Philly sports fanatic on there. But we just wanted to get back on here. Two cousins talking about the recent championship with our beloved Philadelphia team, the Philadelphia Eagles. And actually, I was very fortunate to be at my friends, Tim and Joyce's place on Sunday, made them a great dinner. I was able to watch it because been over the last couple of playoff games, and especially the championship game. Now, I'm on high blood pressure medicine, and I laugh about it.
Makes two of us.
Normally, I take 2 in the morning, and I take one before I go to bed. But I was getting so hyper at the games, I actually brought it with me and took it right before the game started, just saying I have to have it under control. But I sat. They have a beautiful living room. But I actually sat in the dining room chair, and I never moved because the day Clarkie scored that goal, I was in one spot, never moved, and superstition. I said, I'm not moving from this. I got halftime. I got my food to eat, but I didn't move since. And I said, Carl, you can get up now. About 6-7 minutes left in the game. So that's how I was because you never
It's
know.
interesting. 7 years ago, you didn't know you had a Super Bowl until the last play. This year, I always said to myself, boy, I'd love to have one where it's a cakewalk, but that's not going to happen. So first it was 10-0, 17-0, 24-0. Even at halftime, I go, you never know. Could come back. You never know. But then it was 34-0. I'm going, I think we got this one in the bag. In the last 8 minutes, I was like, oh, my God, we can just enjoy this. That's the beauty of it. Of course, I'm getting ticked off at the end. I just gave him 2 touchdowns. What are you going to do? Let him get another onside, a kick, and score another touchdown? So us Eagles fans are never satisfied.
Well, and you saw that he actually had the reserves in. He didn't have the main defense in him. But I always remember the Super Bowl before the Eagles won the first one, Atlanta and New England. 27-3.
I'd be slashing my wrists if I were an Atlanta fan. I mean, you've got this monstrous lead, and everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong for Atlanta after that.
Yeah, I remember that one, and it's just a matter of, wait a second, I was texting some friends back east, and they go, is it the word? No. Not till there's 000s on there, because then look, Kansas City wasn't going to give up that long pass. No, they didn't have the number one secondary on there, but look, they made it competitive, and thank God the clock was. When was I texting you?
Oh God, they didn't make it competitive. Those were toss away touchdowns, but it's just still, even with those 2 touchdowns, it was like, all right, 18-point lead. They need 3 more scores. It wasn't going to happen.
I know that, but what was I texting you the whole time? To run the clock, keep that clock.
Run the ball, run the clock. I know.
You kept seeing the frustration on their faces, which I think the one video I do have, shows the front. That's wonderful.
They dominated. I mean, everywhere Mahomes, if he tried to find a little gap up the middle, wasn't there. He goes to the outside, somebody with him. If he goes further outside, there was somebody in his face. He never, as Seth Joyner said, the kryptonite of a quarterback is pressure.
Well, we all remember that first Super Bowl with Denver playing Seattle. And Manning thinking, it's going to be easy pickings. But what did Seattle have? They had a defense just like that. They crushed them. And the Tampa Kansas City won, what Brady won, going back on it and showing that's what they did. They rushed for and they were able to dominate them. And that's and give. I said it was a defensive coordinator who was going to win that, but he had the horses to do it too, though.
But the best example of a line that won the game was when New England was undefeated, played the Giants, 4-man rush. They put pressure on Brady, and it just made it a different game.
And where did I watch that game? At your place.
Oh my God.
That was the one with the Velcro. What was it? The Velcro catch. Now it's
the one where he caught it. That's amazing.
Now, the two I watched at your place. Now 6 years later, the 2012 one, when the Giants beat them again, the second time was at your place. That you remember where you watched your Super Bowls, and I mentioned to my friends, we're old enough to have watched every Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Where the first one was not called the Super Bowl. It was on 2 networks and it wasn't sold out.
$12 tickets.
$12 tickets.
What's the ticket for this Super Bowl, Carlucci? Average was $5,800.
Yeah. Insane. Totally insane. And then, the $8 million, what was it, $6 to $7 million per. But look, it's all marketing. It's all money. It's why they could pay a guy $20-30 million a year. Really? Look at Chuck Bednarik, even though it was only 7 years later. Why he was called Concrete Charlie, not because he hit hard, because he had to have a winter job or another job to support himself. And he was a salesman for Warner Concrete. My dad, met him a few times. Not, so obviously it stuck, but not because, how he used to hit people, because he was a salesman for concrete.
No, he hit people hard too, but he was. He
knocked out Frank Gifford, so old enough to know that. But it's
my dad was at that championship game in '60. Yep.
Yeah, and Uncle Alan was on there too. He says they had to put newspaper. It was so cold they had to put newspapers in their shoes. They didn't have sneakers then. But then that one video I did show back for Bill Campbell, that when they're doing it, that Franklin Field didn't have any lights. It was a day after Christmas, December 26th. They played it at noon just in case of overtime. So what about a stadium not even having lights? And then, I tried to find with the ladle, the water, 5-gallon bucket. And now everybody's got their own individual Gatorade, water bottle, squirt bottle, and everything. So, yeah, we've come amazing about the technology and everything else about it too. So, what else do you want to talk about, my cuz?
Hey, you're the producer. I just go on your beat. You notice you bring up any topic, I can talk about it.
I know, that's the good thing. So, I wanted this first one just to be that we're going to be back on at least maybe once a week and have one topic. We thought we were going to be on maybe in November with actually it wasn't even, it was the year before when we were doing Talking with Cuz, the 60th year for the Kennedy assassination, but we could go through that and some other topics. One we could do
now that Trump has unleashed the Wowzer.
Everything's going to be redacted. Everything's going to be redacted anyway. It's going to be all black mark onto it anyway.
There you go.
Then we could talk about the moon landing. We could talk about that.
What moon landing? There's never a moon landing.
Yeah, and actually going when I was in Florida with Carolyn, going down to the Space Center, and they've updated. Cool. It's really, really nice.
Very cool.
Really great because they got an updated, the space shuttle there, and some other venues. But to see that Apollo booster rocket
on its side.
Yeah, but I can understand, like they don't know how that was built, but it's right there. Go into it. It's like for the new one that Musk is going to be doing, what is the Artemis? So,
but my complaint was always the ones that say we never landed on the moon. Okay, so we sent a 6 million pound payload up. That's the hard part, getting that thing to start moving upwards. That's not that's nothing. But we didn't go to the moon. Yeah, okay, fine.
Well, yeah, they said that we couldn't get past through this this radiation belt, somehow. Well, they did it. They did it. Send 7 crews out there. 13 didn't land. A couple of them landed. 13, luckily, they were able to get back. So
Yeah, I remember. I used to follow the Gemini flights. They would
how about
during
Mercury?
weekdays after school.
Right.
Oh my God!
Well, that's when they realized that Armstrong was able to do that because weren't they in one that actually started spinning it, and he was able to not have any problem. He was able to finally get it that it, physically he wasn't unconscious or anything. Because if something would have happened to
Would have
them, it would have been a disaster in space. That's the one thing they didn't have. Well, the two shuttles. Oops. The
They had a problem.
we had a problem, and they didn't tell them.
Nothing to do about it.
And that's something that statement really is true. If nobody knows what we're talking about. Well, I forget was it 2002 that was it Columbia that they lost?
Challenger was 86. Was it Columbia or Endeavor? But
Yeah,
it was. I remember I was too. I remember being at the
Yeah.
dry cleaner, and on TV they had somebody saying, looks like there's something with the reentry."
Yeah.
Sad.
And just somehow they were peeling off. They weren't going to do it. And so how they were able to do that is just crazy. But there's other possibilities of what we could talk about as far as subject matter. Being who we are and at the age that we are so fortunate to have had the parents and the grandparents that we had and the life that we had. And through an era of phenomenal music, great sports, actually be able to listen to New York stations, watching New York sports at that time. And so we were engulfed in the whole thing. And to the point that you had a portable black and white TV in your TV, in your bedroom, and what famous thing you did, because there was no
The tuner. And it came out.
It finally came out. So we want to eventually, I'm going to see if I can start organizing some people I'm going to put out there about talking about that day. Because that's July 13th will be 40 years. And we had no idea what that day was going to be like. And we thought, well, we worked for Spectagar. It's going to be another show, not going to be an outside show and whatever. But we didn't realize how, monumental it ended up turning out.
5 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
The parking lot just packed. It was the vet lot packed and rocking. So cool. And the night, didn't end? We didn't get out of there till 11:30?
Midnight. At midnight. And actually, I have to thank you again.
Well, you didn't work. I worked. You made money.
What do we get? We got $4 an hour there.
No. Weren't you one of the guys that was hustling money from people trying to come in?
I was not at the gate. I wish. I only wish. But I realized that's how I ended up getting into the JFK with Gina to see YouTube. Slipped a guy at 20 and we both got in. That's before, barcodes and, scanners and all that stuff. Now you can't do that. Remember the guys at the vet used to climb the sides, the fence and try to get in on that second level there. So really different times, different ways. And, the vet, it was a dump but when we first went there, little sideshows that first time, the second day that it opened with the,
we went there after a Chicago Blackhawk Sunday afternoon playoff game. Flyers lost 6-0. We went across the street. I think Roger Freed had hit a grand slam that day. They won 6-0 or 6-1.
Yeah, that looks like opening day of April 71 because they had a sellout crowd there. That's why the parking lots. But we were there this following day.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's 54 years ago. So we are getting.
We remember going again. We remember the year before when they were building the vet, and we would go from the Spectrum after the game and go and peer through the fence, and you could see the seats being put in. It was very.
It was a lot higher. Yeah, we saw the progression of it from this stage to when it finally the whole girders and everything were up. And my father working construction, he actually said he worked 2 days down there for working that. But one little sidebar about unions and how things work. And it's 50, 60 years later that I heard this, and I think it's a true story, that, their main contractor was McCluskey. They wanted that thing, and that was 90% all concrete. And if you being with your background, a facilities manager, when they were building that, when the concrete comes, they have to have an inspector that, does the slump test to make sure each load is good. But somehow there's trucks getting backed up. It was taking time to do this. And they're finally saying, what the heck's going on here? So finally, Mr. McCluskey finally had to go with the guy. They took him out to lunch one day. Well, they found out he went to Bookbinders. And the next day he shows up with a brand new Buick. And so he goes over there. Oh, that's good. And then he'd only show up on Thursday when it was payday. And then that's how you solve things back in the day. Taking a Bookbinders.
But didn't your dad have a role at the Spectrum with the ice?
Oh,
with the concrete?
And I wish I took pictures and had anything documented. I do have an Action magazine that they actually have pictures of some of the work, but not of the men. But yeah, real quick story about the good old Spectrum back in 78. Evidently, they had to replace the ice rink. Somehow it was malfunctioning. It wasn't working. And it's the building in the middle where the Flyers and 76ers played until they built a new building where the JFK City. But they actually had a contractor out of Chicago come in here, and somehow something was not going right. And my father really was really good in all aspects of it and knew how to put ice rinks in. And so he was already working on another job, and the union member contacted my dad. I said, please, you got to go down there and make sure we don't have the embarrassment of screwing up the ice rink at the Spectrum. He said, I already got a job. He said, don't worry about it. You get paid on that job and plus going down there. And so he went down there. It was a one day. It was just for the pour of the whole rink. And that was first time he said they were using actually a laser screed. Before it used to be just a regular, transit and all that. But that was 78. They were using a laser screen. Obviously, they needed the level so much, and he made sure he got the best workers, no matter who they, they made a lot of money there because they have to burn that and make it really, really almost like a warehouse finish. But he knew exactly, tell them how much of the coils, because the coils were working with that in there, and they told him put.
How thick was the concrete for the
It was about 4 inches.
Okay.
No, actually, it was about 5 inches because it had all the coils in there for the Freon and everything. But yeah, that's one thing I wish I was able to attend and actually witness on there. But a lot of other fascinating stories, and hopefully this will be the first of many that we'll have, maybe one every week. Talking with my cousin Vincent Ferrari back in New Jersey. I'm here in California. It was a great trip back when I was there in September. I still don't want to be there now because, how much snow do you have out there? Can you open the window and take a look?
It could be 3 inches by the morning, so not that bad. Most of the snow is going to be south of us.
Good. I don't want to have anything.
Get 1 inch. So
yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't want to have anything even close to anything. And I know they scheduled the parade on till Friday because it's supposed to snow again and then some rain and have some clear schedule. So
Friday will be sunny, chilly, just like it was 7 years ago.
Yeah,
you won't have Jason Kelsey dancing around though.
No. I wonder if
that's just one regret. I bet is that he won't get a ring, but he's led a charmed life the last year.
I'm sure he's doing very well. But to see his brother, that disappointment, and they booed Taylor, you could see the frustration on their faces and their anger that they couldn't believe what was happening to them, And they
the term is an ass whooping. That was it.
They were not gracious. In their post game, they didn't say, well, you have to hand it to them. None of them said that. Even Andy didn't say that. They got a great team over there. They got to get – no. I got to do a better job like he was back in Philly. I got to do a better job. Well, hey, and I don't think they're going to make it to the Super Bowl next year. I think they realize their deficiency and showing maybe no AFC teams could actually be that good and that dominant against them, but we'll see.
Well, usually the team that loses the Super Bowl has that the next year they're just not as good. Look at the Eagles when they won the 7 years ago. The next year they struggled.
Well, it's great to have that they're Super Bowl champions. It'll be interesting that they have the core of their team still intact with good contracts. And who knows, it's just with Barkley and losing their offensive coordinator, just put it on automatic. Whoever comes in, run the same plays.
Somebody said they should try to get Frank Reich. Frank Reich was with the Eagles 7 years ago. He's past being an NFL head coach. He might be the perfect guy to run the offense.
I think they would do that. And then you still have Fangio as a defensive coordinator, and they talk about those studs, man. I know we had great ones in the 90s with Buddy Ryan but the names escape me right now. Seth Joyner,
Reggie White, Jerome Brown, great,
Byron Evans. But so hopefully that'll continue. We'll have some really great teams. But listen, who we're not talking about: the Sixers. And I hear Embiid needs another surgery. He's done. How they just signed it.
What I don't understand is he played yesterday. Shut him down. Lose all your games. Get the surgery. What are you going to wait till May, April to do the surgery? Get it done now.
The new contract doesn't kick in till next season.
Okay, stop.
I know.
You're getting me as nauseated as the Flyers.
People who
win one, lose one.
People who buy tickets to those games, and that's why the NBA is taking a nosedive. It's really ridiculous. So, well, anyway, I think we touched on a few things on here. It's just talking with Cuz, talking about our lives with our families, that we all wish them well. And we know we still have one aunt that's still with us. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that at another time. And our good old days from 25 years ago when we started this for a short period of time.
I don't know what's in with that hair. I just don't know.
I know. And if we can maybe get a little sponsor, somebody to help out, it'd be really good, or get some other people that'll be on here. But I appreciate it. Anything
do it for the love.
Yes, the love and the camaraderie, and then maybe we'll come up with something, for our next time. And anything in passing, my cuz.
That's it. It's been fun doing this. Always a
pleasure. Yes. Next time we will have maybe just regular generic shirts on, not our Eagles. We'll put these in stores till next year. So until next time, till next week, this is Talking with Cuz with myself, Carl Candello here in California, my cousin Vince Ferrari over there in New Jersey with the snow, signing off, and we'll talk to you sometime next week.